I have never dated. Not because I was never asked out, not because I am not interested in falling in love and finding someone, but because I am making an effort to be more intentional in my life. Dating has now become a game of swipes, aesthetics, and unrealistic standards. More about performance than real, genuine connection. I want to talk about the real tea. The place of values, boundaries, self-respect, responsibility, and compatibility in dating. This is not about me being single. This is about why I'm choosing to invest in myself so that one day I can show up the way I want to for someone else. And if you're interested in that, stick around, go grab your coffee, your tea, whatever it is that you like doing when you're watching YouTube videos, and let's get into it. Let me set the stage for you. Yes, I am single. Yes, I have never dated anyone. Yes, I want to date eventually. Yes, I want to get married. Yes, I want to start my own family and have children at one point. So, this whole dating thing, it's very much something that I am interested in. Now that we have gotten this in check, let me tell you the story of how I nearly went on a date, didn't, and because of it, I realized that, actually, there are some boundaries I need to protect for myself, some values that I have identified and that I'm not going to compromise, and also the fact that I'm not entirely ready to really throw myself into the dating scene, which is quite something nowadays, I will say. So, here we go. This happened a year and a half ago. I met someone during a gig I was doing. I was helping out at a wedding, so it was kind of funny that I met someone there at the same time. We hit it off really well, exchanged numbers, texted for the following month, and one day came this message that was asking me out to grab dinner. I had to have my friends confirm that this was flirting, and all of the messages up to that, without revealing too much, were flirting, because I am quite oblivious to that type of romantic attention and have been notoriously oblivious about it in the past, throughout my childhood up until my adulthood. I'm 23, by the way, for those who don't know. And so this happened when I was 21, 22. If you're still watching this video and enjoying it, please give it a like. It really helps with the algorithm, and also it tells me that you actually like what I'm talking about. Thank you! And let's get back to the video. The date is set. We're not really calling it officially a date yet. We're not at that stage. But there is a date. We are going to go out for dinner on Saturday. The week of the date, I was really feeling it because, as I said, I have never been on a date and hadn't really talked with too many people that I actually really vibed with to warrant even me wanting to go on a date. So yeah, I was super excited. The week leading up to the date, I'm not really getting too many messages from this person, even though they were pretty much a daily texter. Definitely a better texter than I am, because I'm not that good at it. But I made effort. So I was like, oh yeah, they're probably busy. That's fine. Then it's Friday night. Well, in the evening, rather. And I still don't have any confirmation for what time they would pick me up. I knew, it's gonna be the next day, so I need to know. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna ask. And I sent a text. And this is when I receive a reply that says that the date is cancelled because something came up. And at first, I was like, oh, that happens. Things can fall through. And so I texted, it's okay, we can reschedule. And as minutes go by, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, so does my head. Because I wrote, oh, it's fine, we can reschedule. But that is not how I'm feeling. I don't feel it's fine. I don't mind having, other plans, having to reschedule. What I do mind, however, is that I had to fish for information for them to tell me that they had plans. So that means they had plans for a while now, but didn't really have, excuse me for what I'm gonna say, the balls to tell me about it. And so I was like, you know what? I need to speak my mind, because it's gonna be really dishonest, especially if we're going into that type of relationship territory. But also I would do it with someone that I am friends with or friendly with too. I'm not gonna lie. I wrote, actually no, I am not fine about it. This is my issue with it. I don't have a problem with, cancelling plans, like, without much notice. I know, like, life happens. But what I do have a problem with is that I had to be the one to ask about it instead of you telling me directly. They apologized and then proceeded to pretty much ghost me afterwards. Like, they still sent a text or two, but I wanted to see if they were going to kind of like, make it up to me in a way, in the sense that, they would engage in the conversation a bit more, instead of if I retreat a little bit and see how they, interact. And in the end, they ended up ghosting me. I was disappointed because, this was my chance to finally go out on a date. And I realized a couple of things then because of my reaction. First of all, I was too excited about the aspect of going on a date that I was nearly blinded by it and would have, rescheduled and gone anyways, even though something about it bothered me. And now you might think that, this is a bit of a big deal for nothing. But it really isn't. And the reason why it isn't just a small issue is that I figured out in that moment that I had a trigger around not telling someone that you have plans till last minute, so that they now just have to deal with the fact that you have plans and can't do something, or just telling you that they have plans last minute, so that you then can't do anything about said plans. And this is something that my father, whom I'm not on good terms with, this would be a subject for another video, did often when I was growing up. So unknowingly, this guy didn't know that he was walking on that wound, but he was. So first of all, I realized that this was a trigger for me. That is not something I personally can tolerate. Also learned about me that I kind of tend to get a little bit too enticed by the experience of dating, that I can nearly get lost in it, which I kind of already knew because I'm a bit of a romantic. I love, But yeah, I realized then, actually, I need to be careful about these things. I need to really stick to my guns, and by that, the values that I have. I have said to all the people that are close to me that I value good communication and honesty over everything, so that if anyone has a problem with me, they'll just tell me. And I would rather have them hurt my feelings a bit, but know about it, than not know about it at all. Granted, I do want people to make an effort not to just be rude to my face and put it in a nice way, but if you think about it, people who care about you are gonna try and say the message in a way that is gonna be the least hurtful to your feelings regardless. So I'm not too worried about that aspect. So yeah, good communication, being honest with your thoughts and feelings is really important to me. So I already knew this was going to be a problem if with this person things were going to go further, especially since while we were exchanging text, they had said it and I had said it too, that communication was like a really important thing for us. And turns out they really weren't that good at it, and not good being confronted with the fact that they weren't that good at it. I'm not talking about this near date for nothing. This is basically the first indicator that regular dating was not going to be for me anyways. This was further reinforced by the fact that I did try out dating apps prior to meeting this person. I tried it out 2 years ago, I believe. In my last week in the town where I went to university, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave anyway. Let me try and do something before I leave, because I'm a bit of a hermit. I don't go out much. So I was like, I'm gonna try this out. And there was this app that allowed you to filter people by what they wanted out of the date. I like out of the matches. So people who wanted serious committed relationships, people who wanted just to meet people, people who wanted to have more physical plans, that kind of stuff, etc., etc. And so I did not want a committed relationship, because it would have been incredibly irresponsible of me to do so when I was gonna move back to my hometown. So I was like, yeah, I'll just meet people, like friendly meetups, you know. And so I created my profile, I put this filter on, and then seeing all of these people's profiles, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this, because I see all of these people that I don't know. I can't just say no because of like the information I have, because there's nothing there that is actually saying that I wouldn't like them upon meeting them in person. So apart from the people who had a different filter to me, that I was like, well, we're not in there for the same reason. So because of that, I'm just like, you know, swiping you out of like the people I would match with. But otherwise I was like, well, I guess, yeah. And I had imposed this rule for myself first, that I was only going to swipe on 10 people and then leave it be. So I did that, and I ended up matching with someone. And for those of you who haven't done any dating apps whatsoever, which probably you might have done, I feel like I'm one of these few who never dated, tried dating apps, and then were like, that's not my thing. You probably have more experience than me about these things. But anyways, when you first start texting, they make you choose an icebreaker. This is really interesting as a concept. And I was really into it. I was like, oh, what could be a great conversation starter? And there was some things like, hey, yeah, like what's your hobby or whatever. And I was like, I actually want to have more interesting like conversations. I want to see how they think, you know, and how they feel. You can already tell I'm the specific type of person by me just revealing that. So I chose icebreaker. Can men and women be friends? And I answered yes. The person I matched with answered no. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting, because I wonder why they think that, you know? And at that point, I didn't have very close male friends, but I had I would say a 50-50 male friends, female friends ratio that weren't necessarily like very close to me, but that I got along well. We would study together and like talk, and you know, it was fun. And then the person I matched with answered, well, you would still find them attractive, so you can't be friends. And then I was like, what is that reasoning? Because yes, objectively, people can be hot. Doesn't mean that you want to date them, though. People can be like really pretty. Doesn't mean they would be nice girlfriend or wife material. And doesn't mean that you would find them interesting as people either. So I realized then that I probably wasn't the right type of person to be on dating apps, because the more conversations we had, the more that must have been a really weird interaction for that guy, because and I was like really curious about what he was thinking. So I kept asking more about, hey, yeah, why do you think that? And I was trying to kind of have a debate, and Yeah, I don't think people go on dating apps for that. So it pretty much ended there. I think I have it installed, at least I haven't gone there. But that was like the end of my dating app saga. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because it kind of like pointed out an issue that I have with dating apps that other people that I know also have with dating apps, which is that its functioning is incredibly superficial, in the sense that how are you supposed to know how well you would be matched with someone based on just their appearance, their skill at taking pictures, first of all, and how good they are at like filling in information. Because even based on appearance, I'm like, well, this is the most superficial I'm ever gonna sound, but unless they look like Gollum, I don't really have a problem with people, you know? Like, I want to know who they are more than what they look like, so I'm like, I can't just not swipe, could just like take them out of like my pile of people just because that. Also, when you have these kind of like setups, you are basically comparing people to each other, because when you are matched with several people, you're having several conversations at the same time, and inevitably what ends up happening is that you're jungling between people and not really getting to know any of them well, and you're, you know, in your mind kind of comparing them, and you can't really help it, but that's what ends up happening. Whereas, you know, in real life, when you go on a date with just only one person, you kind of have to be invested in the person that is in front of you. So I found the concept to be quite interesting, and most of all, not my cup of tea. Sorry, not my cup of tea at all. And that kind of led me to really think about my values, what I want in a relationship, and most importantly, who I want to be. Becoming Bamboo is a channel where I share my journey of rewiring the mind, building resilience, finding balance in mind, body, and soul, using tools like hypnotherapy, storytelling, or other holistic tools. Feel free to join my journey into becoming Bamboo. I am currently doing a series on Wings Club and what lessons we can learn from this nostalgic TV show. Subscribe if you're enjoying this video. I think there is a little bit of delulu aspect to what you may want in a partner, that you expect the other person to have all of these things that you're looking for without really considering what you're bringing up to the table. I don't know if you have the same feed as I do, and I'm not on Instagram. I am mostly a YouTube troll, if you will. Not in the sense that I'm trolling people, but in the sense that I'm always on YouTube. And I get served some weird things sometimes that don't have anything to do with what I usually watch. And when I see, there was this whole thing with like wanting a guy that is 6 foot, working in finance, and earning however much in a year. And I was like, how is that a good criteria for like a boyfriend or a partner or a husband? You can be a total douchebag and be rich and tall. Doesn't make you a good person or a good partner, you know? And also I was thinking, well, if this is your criteria for a partner, you also must feel their unreasonable criteria too, you know, in the other way around. So I was like, this is kind of a strange thing to want or to ask for, really. It really made me think about what I personally would want for in a partner. The answer is someone who has enough emotional intelligence to not put their foot in their mouth all the time, who is responsible, has good communication skills, has some level of self-awareness, or at least would be ready to examine themselves and not projecting everything onto people, and someone who knows what they want and is constantly working on bettering themselves. And the reason I'm saying all of these is because these are things I'm working towards myself. Keyword being currently working towards. And this is mainly why I am not really interested in dating right now, honestly, because I am far from being quote unquote good partner material. Not that I think I would be terrible at it, but for example, I'm currently finishing up my master's. I am investing my time and energy into that and maintaining the close relationships that I have, which are very few. Why? Because I'm not that good at being sociable or like maintaining relationships or like calling people, that kind of stuff, except for my best friend. But you know, I'm not that good at being like a networker, or like even being organized. I actually have a video about that on my channel. Is that I'm trying to set my life straight to be adulting correctly, you know, or good enough. And I'm not there yet. So just throwing someone else into the mix is unfair to them, honestly, because I can't really give too much of my time or energy to anyone else that isn't already part of my life, because, you know, I do need to like get my life set up and to finish my studies, be financially independent, that kind of thing. And as I said, it would be really unfair to throw someone into the mix. Whereas when you get into a relationship with someone, and at least that's what I think, you need to make the conscious effort to get to know them and to water, I guess. I have an image in my mind, but I'm not sure if it really works. But like water the relationship, like you would water a plant. Nurture, invest, I guess those would be good words to use too. And yeah, I don't really have the time for that at the moment. So it would be irresponsible of me to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go out on dates, even though I don't really have the time to do anything or like to really think about anyone else. And yes, you could say it's a pretty selfish phase of my life I'm in right now, which I think is pretty good when you're like in your early 20s, because honestly, once you do have more responsibilities and you have other people that are involved in your life, well, the more set up, the more like skills for adulting you have before that, the better. And that's what I'm currently doing right now. What about you? What are you working on right now that you feel is going to help you show up better in your relationship? And I'll probably be single for the rest of the year. And honestly, I'm cool with it. Because like, as I said, I'm pretty busy. I'm pretty busy right now. It would be pretty douchey of me to like half-ass dating someone. Especially since, as you may have noticed, I'm kind of like an intense person. I go all in or I don't. So I can't really do this right now. That's not fair for someone else. My last point is about this. As I have mentioned, I know who I want to be. I know what kind of life I want for myself. I know what kind of skills I'm looking for in a partner and skills that I myself am working on too. I know I come with baggage. Even though I have not been in a relationship, you know, you still have baggage from life, and I'm not going to go too deep into that. You can look on my channel to see what I'm talking about if you're interested. But, you know, so I'm working on things. I'm working on myself. One thing that I really disagree with is people throwing themselves into the dating market and not announcing their intentions clearly, or not even knowing what they're dating for. By that I mean there's a mismatch between why they're dating and the people they're dating. For example, as you may have guessed, I am not the type to date around. I mean, I've dated nobody so far. But even if like I could, which I could have, I am not, because I don't see the value, the interest in that. Like, the life I want is like marriage, kids, you know? So I don't need to go and like date everyone that is like near me, because that is not something that would bring me any closer to one day getting married and having kids. And there's like a specific partner that I want that isn't that specific. If you really think about it, it's just being called a decent, responsible, grown up. But anyways, that's not the point. My issue is people who date around because they just want to have fun, which, you know, they are entitled to their fun. It's not something I personally understand or find fun, but like, you know, free to do whatever you want. I think those people should be straightforward with the fact that they want to date around for fun, so that they would date around with other people who want to date around for fun. Now, some of them do say this, and some of them don't. So, ideally, in a perfect world, they would say that, hey, yeah, I'm not interested in commitment. I just want to have fun. I just want to date around, and that's just my thing, which is fine. But you also have the other side of things, which is people who are very much not the type to date around, that don't say it. Don't say they want commitment. Don't say they want something more, and think that somehow they are going to change the person who like dates around and has no interest in commitment. And that is also something that is a problem, because then the person who wants commitments gets wounded by the person who doesn't. And then they can project the fact that, oh, if it was a woman who did not want commitment, oh, all women are like this. Or if it was a man, oh, all men are like this. If they're not a healed person themselves, which usually they aren't, otherwise they wouldn't be dating the really not appropriate type of person for them. I hope you see what I mean, but this is something I have observed in culture generally, that, you know, you have a bit of both, like people who want to date around and are not straightforward about it, which I don't understand why they're not, and people who want commitment who are not straightforward about it, and I still don't understand why they are not either. I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, in my plans, I see myself getting married someday. Do you even think about it? Or like, is this like a big no for you? Because if it is, I am glad to have met you. It was lovely meeting you. And I wish you the best of luck in your future encounters, endeavors. And I will walk my way, you will walk your way. You know, that is like how I see things should be. And if everyone was clearer and more upfront about their intentions, I think it would save a lot of heartaches. And I honestly don't understand why it's not a thing. Do you have any theories about why people are not more upfront about what they want, like commitment or no commitment? I would love to know, because I actually don't. I am really thankful that you stuck with this rambling. I have a lot of opinions on the subject. I'll probably make an update video when I do start dating, which, as I said, is not going to be anytime soon, but I plan on doing YouTube videos for quite some time, so if there is an update about my dating life and lack thereof at the moment, I will do a follow-up video. I have interesting things to say, although if it's not interesting, I won't make a video about it. If you have made it this far, and by this far I mean the end of the video, thank you so much, and congratulations for sticking it out till the end. Please drop a blue, because I'm wearing a blue shirt, blue heart emoji in the chat, so that I know that you're a real one and you actually made the entire video. Hopefully I'll see you in the comments.